Have you ever stopped and really thought about it and that your body might be sending you a signal right now? Not through pain, not through some dramatic wake-up call, but through something quieter. Something most guys just brush off and chalk up to getting older. That moment when things just aren't as firm as they used to be. When you think, hey, I'm just tired tonight, or must be the stress from work. And then it happens again and again. And slowly, without you even realizing it, something that used to feel effortless starts feeling like a distant memory. I want you to really sit with that for a second, because what I'm about to share with you today could completely change the way you understand what's happening inside your own body. Not with a prescription, not with some expensive shot at the doctor's office, and definitely not with one of those little blue pills that come with a laundry list of side effects. And I'm talking about something sitting on a shelf, probably at your local CVS or Walmart, that most men have completely overlooked their entire lives. One drop, one thick, natural, powerful drop of oil, applied the right way, at the right time, can begin to wake up what your body has been quietly shutting down for years. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ava Remington. I'm a specialist in men's health and clinical nutrition, and I've been doing this work for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands of men in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, who came into my office convinced that what they were experiencing was just the price of aging. They'd resigned themselves to it. And I have to tell you, that breaks my heart every single time, because in the vast majority of cases, it does not have to be that way. Over 2 decades in this field, I've learned something that most doctors simply don't talk about in a 15-minute appointment. Male vitality doesn't just disappear overnight. It gets drained, slowly, quietly, through a combination of bad habits, chronic stress, and something called silent inflammation. And I'll explain exactly what that means in a minute. The good news, with the right kind of care, you can get it back, not a watered-down version of it. The real thing. And today I'm going to show you how, step by step, in plain English. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. Join our community here on the channel, because every week I'm bringing you real science-backed information about men's health that your doctor probably doesn't have time to tell you. Now let's get into it. Here's the thing most men don't realize. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It talks to you constantly. The problem is we've been conditioned to ignore it. That weaker erection you noticed 6 months ago? Your body was talking. That extra time it takes to recover, your body was talking. That low-grade fatigue that hits you in the afternoon even when you slept fine, still talking. None of that is random. None of that is just bad luck. That is your circulatory system waving a red flag and asking for help. And here's the hard truth that I want you to hear from me, as someone who genuinely cares about your health. Without good circulation, nothing works the way it should. No firmness, no staying power, no real desire, even when the moment is right. When blood stops flowing freely and forcefully to your intimate region, your body literally starts to forget the pathway. And the longer that goes on without being addressed, the harder it becomes to reverse. But here is where it gets good, because there is a completely natural way to reactivate that flow, to genuinely wake up the power that's still inside you. And it comes in the form of something called castor oil. Now, before you roll your eyes or click away, I get it, I hear you. Castor oil sounds like something your grandmother used to rub on your chest when you had a cold. But stay with me, because what I'm about to explain is actual physiology, not folk medicine. This is science. And once you understand what's happening at the cellular level, you're going to want to go out and get a bottle today. Castor oil is thick, warm, and deeply therapeutic when it's used correctly. And I'll give you the exact protocol in just a moment, I promise. It's not just a moisturizer. It functions as a natural circulatory activator. The molecules in castor oil are uniquely structured to penetrate through the skin and reach the deeper capillary layers underneath. Once it's in there, it stimulates blood return, increases oxygen delivery to the tissue, and essentially wakes up a circulatory system that has gone lazy and sluggish. I've had men come into my practice, guys who had tried everything, pills that gave them headaches, supplements that did nothing. One guy had even tried some kind of electrical therapy device he found online. And after a few weeks of this simple nighttime ritual I'm going to share with you, they started noticing things they hadn't felt in years. Stronger, more spontaneous response. more energy, a sense of confidence that they had genuinely forgotten. One of my patients looked at me during a follow-up and said, "Doc, I feel like I'm 45 again." He was 68. This is not magic. This is pure physiology. Castor oil improves blood flow, supports tissue oxygenation, and reactivates the kind of microcirculation that tends to get sluggish in men as they age. When blood is moving the way it should, everything changes. Sensation comes back. Confidence comes back. You look in the mirror and you think, yeah, my body still works. My body still responds. But here's something I need to tell you that almost nobody else will, because it makes all the difference in whether this works for you or not. Poor circulation isn't the only thing working against you. There's something deeper, something more invisible. And it's been quietly building up inside your body for years without you even knowing it. I'm talking about something that happens in the actual tissue, in the physical structure of the body itself. And once you understand this piece, everything else clicks into place. Think about this. Over the course of a lifetime, your body accumulates what I call internal wear. Not wrinkles, not gray hair. I'm talking about something happening deep inside the tissue where blood needs to move freely. Microtraumas, small tensions, old inflammation that never fully resolved. Over time, all of that leaves behind what essentially function as internal scar tissue. Tiny, invisible barriers that your body has quietly constructed inside itself. And you know where those barriers show up first, most significantly, in men? Right where you need everything to function with total freedom and precision. These microscars gradually harden the tissue. They restrict blood flow. They alter sensitivity, and in some cases, they can even affect the shape and angle of things over time. Something that several of you have actually written in to ask me about, and I want to address that directly. A number of you have asked about significant curvature, what feels like a bend or a twist that seems to be getting more pronounced. What many men don't realize is that, in some cases, this can be related to fibrous plaque buildup inside the tissue, a condition known as Peyronie's disease. Castor oil's ability to soften fibrous tissue makes it one of the supportive therapies I recommend alongside proper medical evaluation for this. If that's something you're experiencing, I want you to hear me clearly. Please see a urologist. Don't try to manage that alone. But the protocol I'm sharing today can absolutely be part of your broader care plan. Now back to those microscars in the average man. Most guys experiencing this have no idea it's happening. They think it's psychological, they think it's fatigue, they think it's their age, and the whole time their body is simply asking for release, asking for movement, asking for someone to help it soften what time has hardened. And that is where castor oil shows its real strength. This thick, amber-colored oil contains a naturally occurring compound called ricinoleic acid. And ricinoleic acid has a remarkable ability. It can penetrate deeply into tissue and genuinely soften hardened fibers. It works to slowly dissolve the internal tension and microplaques that are blocking full blood flow. It's quiet work. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is powerful and it is real. Ricinoleic acid literally restores flexibility to what time has stiffened. Now I want to talk about the third thing working against you. And this one is probably the most common and the most underestimated in American men today. It's something that touches virtually every guy over 50 who's eating a standard diet, dealing with work stress, not sleeping great, maybe having a few drinks on the weekend. I'm talking about chronic low-grade inflammation. Here's what that means in plain terms. Every man has some level of inflammation in his body at any given time. That's normal. The problem starts when it becomes constant. When it's being fed every single day by processed food, stress hormones, too much alcohol, and poor sleep. When that happens, your body enters a state of permanent defense. It's like your immune system is running at a low simmer all the time, never fully turning off. And when your body is in that state of chronic defense, circulation suffers, oxygen levels drop, tissue loses its elasticity. The result is exactly what so many of you have described to me. Weak erections, loss of control, feeling drained and disconnected even in moments when you genuinely want to be present. This is not in your head. This is biochemistry. And here is where castor oil does something that very few people talk about, because most folks think of it purely as a physical, topical treatment. But ricinoleic acid, The active compound in castor oil is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents in the plant kingdom. When it penetrates the skin, it acts like a messenger that tells the body's alarm system to stand down. It reduces internal swelling. It restores cellular balance. It tells your overworked immune system, hey, you can relax now, the threat is gone. And when a man's body stops fighting against itself, everything begins to flow again, to respond again, to feel again. I've had patients describe it as a kind of thawing, like something that had been frozen slowly coming back to life. One guy told me, "Doc, it feels like the blood is actually pulsing again down there." I wake up different now. That's real. That's what happens when inflammation retreats and the tissue is finally allowed to breathe. Now let's get to what you actually came here for. The exact how-to. And I want to be specific because the number one question I get, and I see it constantly in the comments, so I know many of you are wondering this, is where exactly do you apply it? Here's the full protocol, step by step. First, get yourself a bottle of 100% pure cold-pressed castor oil. This matters. You do not want castor oil that has been refined, heat processed, or mixed with other ingredients. It needs to be cold-pressed and pure. You can find it at Whole Foods, at most health food stores, on Amazon. Look for a dark bottle, which protects the oil from light. Brands I've found to be reliable include Heritage Store and Sky Organics, both widely available and reasonably priced. Either one works well. Second, timing. Do this at night after your shower before bed. Your skin is clean and slightly warm from the shower, which means it's primed to absorb. Your body also does its deepest repair work while you sleep, so nighttime application gives the oil its best window to work. Third, application. Put just a few drops in your palm. You don't need a lot. Apply it to 3 areas. The base of the penis, meaning the area right where it meets the lower abdomen and the pubic region. The shaft itself, and the perineum, which is the area between the base and the anus. I know that might sound unusual if you've never heard this before, but the perineum has significant blood vessel and nerve concentration that directly affects erectile function. This is a key area that most guides leave out entirely, and it's one of the reasons the results people get are so inconsistent when they try this on their own without proper instruction. Apply with gentle, slow circular massage. You're not trying to create friction. You're trying to help the oil absorb and gently increase blood flow to the area. Take your time with this. Fourth, heat. After massaging in the oil, apply gentle warmth to the area for about 10 to 15 minutes. A warm towel works perfectly. Just soak it in warm water, wring it out, and place it over the area while you lie down. This step dramatically increases circulation, reduces local inflammation, and helps the ricinoleic acid penetrate more deeply into the tissue. Don't skip this step. It sounds simple, but it genuinely makes a significant difference. Fifth, frequency. Do this 3 to 4 times per week. Not every single night. The tissue needs time to respond and integrate. 3 to 4 times consistently over several weeks. Consistency is what creates results here. This is not a one-night fix. Think of it like going to the gym. One workout doesn't transform your body, but showing up 3 to 4 times a week for a month, that changes things. Now, a few questions I anticipate you'll have because I see these come up constantly. Can you take castor oil internally? Some people do take small amounts of castor oil orally as a laxative. It's actually an FDA-approved use. However, that's a completely different application and has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. For the purposes of improving circulation and tissue health in the intimate region, topical application is what we're doing here, and that's where the evidence for these benefits is most relevant. How long before you see results? Most men start noticing something within 2 to 3 weeks of consistent use, usually improved morning response and slightly increased sensitivity. More significant changes in firmness and endurance typically become apparent around the 4 to 6 week mark. Some men see faster results, some slower, depending on their baseline health, circulation, and how long these issues have been building. Is this safe? Yes, for the vast majority of men, topical castor oil is very well tolerated. If you have sensitive skin or a known allergy to castor beans, do a small patch test first. If you experience any irritation, discontinue. Otherwise, this is a gentle, natural oil that humans have used therapeutically for thousands of years. What about men with diabetes or cardiovascular conditions? This is important. If you have a diagnosed cardiovascular condition, diabetes, or a history of erectile dysfunction that has been medically assessed, please loop your doctor in before starting any new protocol, even a natural one. For the vast majority of men, this is safe, but I always want you making informed decisions in partnership with your healthcare provider. I want to take a moment and speak directly to those of you who've been dealing with this quietly for a long time. I know how isolating it is. In American culture, men are not exactly encouraged to talk openly about sexual health struggles. There's a lot of shame around it, a lot of just push through it energy. And so what happens is men suffer in silence for years, convinced there's nothing to be done, convinced it's just age, convinced they just have to accept it. I am here to tell you that is simply not true. What I've described today, compromised circulation, tissue hardening from microtrauma, and chronic low-grade inflammation, these are physiological realities that can be meaningfully addressed, not cured overnight, but genuinely improved with consistency and the right approach. You deserve to feel like yourself again, not a diminished version, not the guy who's quietly made peace with less, the actual you, energized, confident, present. And sometimes the path back to that starts with something remarkably simple: a bottle of oil, a warm towel, 20 minutes before bed, a few nights a week. Your body built this capacity. It remembers it. And with the right support, it can find its way back. The ritual I've shared today isn't just physical either. Every time you do this, you're sending a message to your own mind and body: I'm worth taking care of. I'm not giving up on myself. I still want to feel good, and I'm willing to put in the effort to get there. That psychological dimension, that act of intentional self-care, is genuinely powerful in ways that go beyond the biology. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week I'm putting out content specifically designed for men's health. Real information, no fluff, no clickbait, just straight talk from someone who has spent 20 years in the trenches with patients going through exactly what you're going through. Second, scroll down to the comments and let me know, have you tried castor oil before? What questions do you have about the protocol? I personally read the comments and I do my best to respond, especially to questions that come up repeatedly. Your questions also help me figure out what to cover next, so don't be shy. Third, go get yourself a bottle of cold-pressed castor oil. Tonight. Start this week. Give it 4 to 6 weeks of real consistency and see what happens. I think you're going to be surprised. 1 drop, 3 times a week, a warm towel, and 15 minutes of patience. That's the starting point. That's the beginning of something that a lot of men in this community have told me genuinely changed their lives. You've got this. And I'll be right here every step of the way.